Why'd you come back?
Just sent money and disappeared.
After returning from my assignment in Japan after several years, it was my wife Mary and daughter Chloe who showered me with harsh words. Is that all right? I told the two who knew nothing. After immediately signing the divorce papers, I changed all the registrations to Mary's name and proceeded with my relocation to Japan. They begged me to come back. My name is Joseph Taylor. I'll turn 54 this year. I have a 22-year-old daughter named Chloe and a wife named Mary. Mary and I were classmates in high school, and we hit it off again at a reunion. Our daughter Chloe was born the year after we got married, and she just turned adult recently. I was very happy spending every day with them, but I started feeling uneasy about Mary's attitude at some point. Mary, a full-time homemaker, used to always take care of chores like cleaning and cooking, but around the time she turned 40, she gradually started slacking off. At first, I thought maybe Mary was feeling unwell or there was some other reason, so I decided to actively help with household chores. However, as time went on, her condition worsened, and she started ignoring me more when I tried to talk to her. Even though I was at home, it felt like I was being treated as if I wasn't there, and I felt very lonely. Moreover, perhaps because of Mary's behavior, Chloe started treating me the same way. Until I turned 50, I felt cramped in my own home. At 50, I had just become the manager with a heavy workload, and even when I came home, I couldn't rest. It wasn't a great situation, and sometimes I even had to stay overnight at a nearby business hotel. From an outsider's perspective, our marriage seemed to be falling apart. But my feelings for them remained unchanged, and I wanted to improve our relationship even more in the future. At that time, it was decided that I would be assigned to a position in Japan. I have something to tell you. Actually, I'm going to be assigned to a position in Japan for the next few years.
Oh, really? Well, take care.
Japan sounds like a big deal, huh?
I mentioned the Japan assignment, but they didn't seem like they would miss me much if I were gone. I don't know when I'll be able to come back, but that doesn't mean I can repair our relationship with them right away. I'll start working on it once I return to America. I made up my mind and headed for the assignment in Japan. And now, after 4 years, I've finally decided to return to America. I haven't told Mary and Chloe yet. I plan to surprise them. Nervously, I board the plane, carrying a large suitcase, on my way back home. I'm home. Wait, is nobody here? I call out loudly from the entrance, but nobody responds. Placing the suitcase in the entrance, I peek into the living room and their rooms. There was nobody there, and it seemed like they had gone out. But they should be back soon. Thinking so, I unpacked my luggage from the suitcase and waited for their return while watching TV in the living room. However, even after it passed 11 p.m., they didn't come back, and I started to feel increasingly worried. Where could they be at this hour? I hope they didn't get into any trouble. I imagined the worst scenario and hurried to call Mary. However, it went straight to voicemail, so I couldn't confirm her safety. The same situation occurred with Chloe. She didn't answer the phone at all. Even the next day, they didn't return. But 3 days after I returned to the country, they finally came back home.
That was so much fun. It was my first time staying there.
Seriously, it was so easy without him around.
As the front door clicked open, I heard their voices like that. I turned off the TV I had been idly watching and headed to the entrance with heavy steps. Welcome back.
Whoa, you scared me. What are you doing here?
Seriously, don't threaten me.
They seemed somewhat angry, but I was more annoyed about not being able to get in touch for such a long time. In addition, they each have suitcases and were apparently traveling. It seemed to make me think so. I came back because my assignment in Japan ended. I tried calling, but where were you?
We were on a trip? Is that a problem? I was in such a good mood, and now it's ruined.
Yeah, seriously. I'm going to my room to rest.
With that, Chloe said and locked herself in her room. Mary also went into the bedroom, avoiding eye contact with me. Feeling a mix of emotions, I turned on the TV again. It didn't feel comfortable staying at home, so I decided to go out for a bit to refresh myself. And that night, when I returned home and went to the bedroom, I noticed something different from this morning. My bed is gone, and all my clothes have been moved too. Mary and I had been sleeping in the same room since we got married, but it seems she had moved the room in just a few hours. We live in a condo, but we have many rooms, with one spare. Until now, we've been using it as storage, but for some reason, my bed and clothes have been moved there. Mary, why are my personal belongings moved over there?
Well, it's not like we're sleeping together anymore, right?
Still, you could have at least mentioned something about it, don't you think? Mary made a troublesome expression and covered herself with a blanket. I figured things would only get worse if I kept talking, so reluctantly, I decided to sleep in the room we were using as storage. Starting the next day, since I was going to be home for a while, I began catching up on the household chores. I don't want to further strain my relationship with them, but what should I do? I don't even know why Mary stopped doing household chores or started treating me poorly. I asked her about it before going to Japan, but in the end, I didn't get any details. But this can't go on like this. Thinking that, I decided to talk to Mary again. Mary, can we talk for a bit now? I want to discuss something.
Doesn't really matter. What's up?
Mary seemed to be getting ready to go out, listening to me while doing her makeup. I think we can't just leave things as they are. It's about time Chloe moved out, right? Chloe is turning 22 this year, and she's been saying she wants to live on her own when she finds a job. So from now on, it'll be just you and me, Mary, living in this house. Of course, we need to improve our relationship with Chloe too. But first, we need to get along, Mary and I. With that in mind, I started talking about what we should do from now on. First off, could you tell me in detail why you started treating me coldly?
Do I really need to spell it out for you every time?
I'm truly sorry, but if there's something wrong with me, I want to hear it. Even so, Mary didn't end up telling me the reason she started acting coldly. Amidst all this, I was summoned by my company. Hearing the words I feared from my boss, I returned home with my shoulders slumped. What my boss told me was about my transfer to the Japan branch. I had vaguely noticed it for a while now, but since there are few American employees at the Japan branch, they need someone who can speak Japanese. In the first place, since the Japan branch was recently established, there were hardly any employees who could speak Japanese, which led to my assignment in Japan. My assignment in Japan ended after 4 years, but I was told that I might be permanently transferred. The reason I had been on standby at home was to wait for the outcome of that decision. If I were to go back to Japan in the current situation, it would be difficult for Mary to come along. However, it doesn't feel right for me to go back to Japan alone either. Even if we live apart, the fact that we're family doesn't change. But I wonder how many people would consider us a family when they see us now. Indeed, I need to sort out my relationship with my family before going to Japan. Last time, I only talked to Mary, So this time, let's talk with Chloe as well. Since they are often out, it was hard to find a time to talk, but when I started preparing to go to Japan, we finally had the chance to talk.
I'm busy, you know? If you've got something to say, can you hurry it up?
Why do we have to keep having these discussions over and over?
Could you both just be patient for a little bit? Just when I thought I had some time to talk, they both started off like this right from the get-go. I'm actually going to be working in Japan, so I want Mary to come with me.
Really? Working in Japan sounds interesting.
I hate Japan because I can't speak Japanese.
Chloe's planning to get a job in America, and she's already 22, so she should be able to manage on her own. I wanted Mary, who's not working, to come with me to Japan. Yet, the first thing out of their mouths was negativity, and it felt like something inside me snapped. I've never made my family go without anything. I've always fulfilled their wishes, and I've even sacrificed my own hobbies to buy them things they wanted. And still, they haven't opened up to me. Thinking about it like this, these past decades of my life seem like they've been completely wasted.
Why did you come back?
Just send money and disappear.
When I thought it might be hopeless, they mercilessly unleashed cruel words at me. Unable to bear it any longer, I instinctively lowered my gaze to the ground. As I suspected, it was just as I thought. Nothing I say seems to affect these two anymore, and they probably wouldn't care even if I couldn't see them anymore after going to Japan. They seemed to find it amusing that I was around as Mary and Chloe started giggling.
Are you crying? It's impossible for a grown man to cry.
Yay! Stop crying in front of your daughter. It's embarrassing.
I loved Mary very much and pursued her myself to start dating. I even proposed to her the way she wanted, and I went through great lengths to rent a prime apartment, all because I loved Mary and cared about Chloe. Certainly, my work kept me busy, and there were days when I couldn't spend much time at home with the family. Still, I tried to communicate as much as possible and even ran back home at times. I believed that my affection would reach them, but I've reached my limit. With a determined expression, I raised my head and smiled at them, saying, "Is that all right?"
It's obviously fine. It's impossible to keep living with you anyway.
Since nobody is going to be sad, just send us money.
In response to my smiling face, they burst into laughter and said such things. I have no regrets anymore. After that, as I began preparing to go to Japan, I secretly devised a plan. They seemed to treat me as if I were already gone, with an attitude that suggested they couldn't care less about such matters. In the past, their behavior would have wounded me deeply, but now it's rather convenient. Because if Mary doesn't come with me to Japan, I've decided I'll file for divorce. Honestly, right after we got married, Mary and I were filling out divorce papers. The reason was, we wanted to be able to divorce quickly if either of us felt like it. Honestly, I never thought the day would come when we'd use such divorce papers. But if it would reassure Mary, I thought I'd store them in the dresser. It's been about 20 years, so Mary might have forgotten. It's my dresser where I stored them, and I only realized I had them after returning from my assignment in Japan. They were buried deep in the back, so I wouldn't have noticed them unless I took out all my clothes to go to Japan again. But in hindsight, I think it's very lucky. If I submit these divorce papers, Mary and I won't be family anymore. Honestly, I don't feel any sadness in my heart. I started the process the day after our discussion and officially became single. However, I haven't told Mary and Chloe yet that I've filed for divorce. Whether I'm at home or not, Their reactions won't change, and they probably won't feel sad even if they know we've divorced. Days went by like that, and finally, the day to go to Japan arrived. All right then, I'm off. Take care, both of you.
See ya. Don't forget to send souvenirs.
Since I'll be looking for a place to live alone soon, you better send some money for rent.
Right until the very end, neither of them seemed to worry about me. Well, they're practically strangers now, so it doesn't really matter. I've already sent most of my stuff, so all I need to bring is what's in my carry-on. When I arrived at the airport, I could board the plane feeling calm. However, as soon as I arrived at the Japanese airport, my phone suddenly started ringing. Curious, I checked to see who it was, and there, Mary's name was displayed. I hadn't noticed because I had turned off my phone during the flight, but there were a crazy number of missed calls. I pressed the answer button and hopped into a taxi to head to where I'll be staying. Hello, you've been calling a bunch. What's up?
What on earth is going on? I received a notification for a change of ownership for the apartment.
Oh, well, since we're not married anymore, and I'm not coming back there, I had it changed.
Wait, explain it properly to me.
As soon as I answered, Mary screamed so loudly that even the taxi driver looked surprised. It seems like a notification arrived confirming the change of ownership for the apartment, but there should be other documents coming as well. However, it seems like those haven't arrived yet, and Mary hasn't said anything about them. Anyway, I'll answer the question that's being asked. We got divorced. Also, I changed the ownership because I've decided to move to Japan.
Divorced? I never submitted divorce papers, and I don't remember writing any.
You said you wanted to leave it to me before, so I submitted it. After pondering for a while, Mary let out a startled voice, as if she suddenly remembered something. However, Mary, who didn't know she had divorced without realizing it, tried desperately to stop me.
Do whatever you want with the divorce. Just come back here once. We'll talk after that.
We never had a proper discussion before, did we? Besides, I have no plans to come back.
Moving to Japan? You're not seriously saying that, are you?
I am serious. I've decided to live here. To be honest, I'm not going back to Japan for another assignment. I've officially decided to live in Japan. So I wanted Mary to come with me, and I wanted to mend things with Chloe too. But even if she says she wants to have a serious talk now, I wouldn't trust Mary. Also, her wanting me to come back is probably about money. Mary has always been a homemaker, never worked a full-time job. She said she wanted to stay home and wait for me, so I respected that and let her be a homemaker. But deep down, she probably doesn't want to work.
I won't forgive you for divorcing me on your own. If you're divorcing, you better pay me alimony.
Alimony? Why should I pay you alimony?
Because you wasted my time, and make sure you pay for our future expenses.
This is a mess. If I did something wrong and we're breaking up, it's only fair to pay alimony. But I haven't done anything wrong, and I'm not obligated to cover living expenses. I've arrived home, so call me later after you receive another envelope.
Hey, wait a minute.
Ignoring Mary's attempts to stop me, I paid the taxi fare and went into the house. In the evening of that day, just after I finished unpacking, Mary called again. Surely, the envelope I sent must have arrived. Hello, did the envelope arrive?
What's this? Why would something like this?
I've been suspicious for a while, so I hired someone to take pictures. The envelope I sent to Mary. It contained evidence of her affair, obtained by a private investigator. Right after returning from my assignment in Japan, I noticed something. When I entered Mary's room, I found an unfamiliar diary lying there. I didn't intend to snoop, but when I picked it up, I accidentally saw the contents and learned about Mary's infidelity. She had suddenly stopped doing household chores, spent less time at home, and I had sensed something was off for a while. But never did I imagine she was having an affair. Upon finding evidence of her affair, I couldn't immediately come to terms with reality, and I even considered forgiving her. But then I had a sudden realization. Why should I have to put in so much effort to repair a relationship with Mary, who's the one cheating? In the end, since Mary didn't even agree to talk things out, I was able to submit the divorce papers without any regrets.
A detective? Are you saying you suspected me of something? That's absurd.
But you were actually having an affair, weren't you? Just admit it.
Shut up. It's because you're so worthless that I turned to someone else.
Mary retorted loudly against my words, refusing to back down. And to make matters worse, the person she cheated with was our classmate. How long has this been going on with that guy? You could at least tell me that much.
Since we reconnected at the class reunion.
Come to think of it, there was a class reunion after we got married that I couldn't attend. Mary reconnected with her classmates there, and it seems that's when the affair started. That must have been about 3 years before my assignment in Japan, if I recall correctly. Thinking back, I had been cheated on for years without even realizing it. It's too late now, but why didn't I investigate the affair earlier? Such regrets crossed my mind. But considering I managed to gather evidence before moving to Japan, I should consider myself lucky. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. Just make sure to pay the alimony stated in the divorce papers, for now.
Damages? There is no way I can pay $30,000.
By the way, I also sent evidence to the cheating partner, so I expect it to come from his wife too. I've been pushed around this far, and I won't feel satisfied unless I retaliate. So I decided to demand $30,000 from Mary and $40,000 from the cheating partner without any regrets. The cheating partner was working for a major bank and held a management position. If this affair leads to a lawsuit, it could be troublesome. Since the lawyer advised me to be firm, I'm demanding $40,000. Of course, since I sent the registered mail to the cheating partner's home, it's likely to be exposed to his wife as well.
I absolutely refuse to pay that.
Got it. In that case, let's settle this through the courts with lawyers. I'm ready.
A lawsuit? Wait a minute. There's no need to make such a big deal out of this.
That's right. Instead of making a big deal, I'm asking you to pay for a settlement. I'm not sure how much money Mary has saved up, but I think she could borrow about $30,000 from relatives or friends. Besides, even if it means going into debt, I intend to get the compensation paid. I'm not short of money, but I believe there should be appropriate consequences for cheating. It's absolutely unforgivable to cheat and then live comfortably.
Give me some time to think. But more importantly, are you not coming back to America?
Oh, I've got permanent residency, so I plan to stay here.
Why can't you take me with you?
What is she thinking? We're already divorced, and now we're arguing over damages. And yet, she's asking to be taken to Japan. Even though she can't speak a lick of Japanese, what does she plan to do coming over here? There's no way I'm taking you. And even if I did, how would you even survive?
Well, you could let me stay at your place.
Mary might still think I have feelings for her. That's why she can say such disrespectful things. Come to think of it, Mary treated me like an ATM from the start. Mary's blabbering over the phone, but honestly, I couldn't care less about that. I don't want anything to do with her anymore. But now that I know the truth about all the betrayal I've been through, I want Mary to experience the same feelings I have. That's why I've decided to video call her as payback. Well, let's put aside what we were talking about earlier. This is my place where I live, I said, and then immediately switched to a video call. Mary's phone screen would probably show a beautiful night view and starry sky from a high-rise. And I proceeded to give her a tour of my place while holding the phone. Rent here is cheaper compared to America, and yet it's luxurious. There's a gym in the apartment building, and even a pool.
Wow, Japan is amazing. I'm ready to come with you right now.
Simple-minded Mary said with excitement. However, her attitude suddenly changed when she saw a figure at the edge of the camera.
Wait a minute. Is someone there? I saw someone with long blonde hair.
Oh, should I introduce her? She's my new girlfriend.
Girlfriend, but you just got there today? Are you cheating, too?
Mary said that in a frenzy, and I heard the sound of her throwing her smartphone somewhere. In that moment, the call got cut off. Well, it's understandable why Mary would be angry. Because she was cheating on me, so I claimed alimony, and I was cheating on her. Besides, the blonde with long hair on camera looked very attractive in her 30s, so Mary, who's into looks, would not tolerate this. But what I said earlier was a lie. The woman on camera was one of my friends who helped me with the move. Knowing I couldn't handle it alone, friends I met during my assignment in Japan came to help. And since I arrived here today, I told them about Mary's infidelity, and the woman agreed to go along with my story. With the moving almost done, we're planning to have a party soon. Now that I'm away from Mary and Chloe, I feel incredibly relieved. While everyone congratulated me on the divorce, I drank alcohol like it was water. The next day, I received a call from Chloe, who must have heard the situation from Mary.
Hey, is it true that you and Mom are getting divorced?
Oh, yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm technically Chloe's dad, but don't think of me as a dad anymore.
Wait a minute. I already decided on a place to live alone yesterday.
Come to think of it, she was asking me to pay for her living expenses and she's going to live alone. But Chloe is already an adult, and I shouldn't have to do that anymore. Besides, after saying all those awful things, does she really think she can just get money out of me now? If it's about money, talk to your mom. I don't plan on coming back there anymore.
But Mom's not going to give me any money.
I don't even know if that house is under Mary's name, and it's better to move out sooner rather than later. I told Chloe everything that was decided due to the divorce. Of course, I also mentioned that I intend to get alimony from Mary. However, Chloe didn't seem surprised by the term alimony and just demanded money from me. Perhaps Chloe also knew about Mary's affair. That thought crossed my mind. Wait, did you know about Mom's affair?
I did, but so what? Forget that. Just transfer the money.
I was planning to transfer the money if you sincerely apologized for everything. To tell you the truth, I hadn't completely grown to dislike Chloe. When she was little, she used to stick to me like glue, and no matter how much she grumbled, she was still my daughter. But after years of that, no matter how much you like someone, love fades away. I had hoped to remain Chloe's father if she would just apologize in the end. And yet, upon hearing my words, Chloe began to apologize in a flustered manner.
I'm sorry. Please don't abandon me, Dad.
It's too late. I couldn't be your dad, Chloe.
No. I was just being mean because mom told me to.
According to Chloe, she had been ignoring me and hurling insults at me at Mary's behest. So she pleaded for forgiveness. I delivered my final words to Chloe. "You're already an adult, so you should have known better. Well then, take care."
Wait, please.
Although Chloe seemed like she still wanted to say something, I hung up without listening to the end. After a while, I was informed about Mary and Chloe's current situation by a mutual friend. Since Chloe had already contracted a room, it seemed she decided to live there. However, she was a bit short on the initial expenses, so she took out a cash advance to cover it. Well, Chloe will probably get a job soon and be able to pay back the cash advance quickly. She used to rely on my money, but from now on, I want her to understand the importance and fear of money. I don't plan on seeing Chloe anymore, but I hope she reforms from afar. As for Mary, it seems she was indeed demanded compensation by her affair partner's wife. She complained about not being able to afford even the compensation for me, so if she's demanded double, it'll be a disaster. Mary immediately begged her classmates and parents for money, but they asked her to explain how much she needed and what it was for. She straightforwardly told her classmates about the affair and got rejected, and she couldn't confess to her parents about her own affair, so she vaguely explained and got turned down. Moreover, the affair story got from her classmates to their parents and eventually reached Mary's parents. It seems she hadn't even told them about the divorce, so she must have been severely scolded. Even Mary's parents called me to apologize, but I won't be involved with them anymore. In the end, Mary, who couldn't borrow money from anyone, somehow found a job and started working, but she seems to be complaining every day. Considering Mary's age and the fact that she has never worked as a full-time employee, there were probably few places willing to hire her. She finally found a part-time job doing manual labor in a factory, which is said to be extremely demanding. But perhaps because there were no other options, she continues to work at that factory even now. Although compensation is steadily being deposited into my account, the amount is quite small. She's likely facing considerable financial hardship. A classmate of mine once sent me a current picture of Mary, but she looked quite old. While Mary may be going through a tough time now, I hope she continues to make amends for the terrible things she did to me. A year after moving to Japan, I started receiving more compliments about looking brighter. When I was assigned to Japan, I had bags under my eyes because I didn't get enough sleep, and I didn't have enough energy on my face. But now, I'm told I have a very calm demeanor and have become kinder to people. I think this is largely related to my separation from Mary. At that time, I was under a lot of stress and I was aware of it. It took some time to distance myself, but I'm really glad I can now spend time in such a liberating environment. Back then, I'd like to give myself a round of applause for having the courage to divorce Mary. Despite the lack of affection, I still felt sentimental because she was a woman I once loved, and I wanted her to come with me to Japan. If Mary hadn't said such terrible things to me at that time, I shudder to think if I would still be at the mercy of her tyranny. I'm close to retirement, but there are many things I want to do after retiring. I want to gradually do things I didn't do for the sake of my family before. There's no stopping me now, and I've vowed to spend more happy moments